Chief Justice of India was the target of an attempted shoe attack inside courtroom number 1 yesterday. The alleged attacker happened to be a Supreme Court lawyer by name Rakesh Kishore. Now, Mr. Kishore says that he did this because he was upset at some of the comments that the Chief Justice had recently made, which were perceived by Mr. Kishore and some folks as anti-Sanatan, anti-Hindu. The Chief Justice had a few days back, while hearing a matter relating to the Khajuraho temples, asked the petitioner, why don't you go and ask the deity to do something himself? This was, of course, with regard to a petition that was moved in a bench comprising the CJI, asking about restoration of a Vishnu statue as part of the Khajuraho temples. Now, those comments attributed to the CJI had offended many Hindus, which he then later went on to clarify that his intention was not to offend anyone, was not to offend any deity or any religion. But the question now, with this attempted shoe attack on the Chief Justice and inside the courtroom that he presides, is this now a license for anyone who feels offended because of any religious sentiment to try and attack constitutional body holders like the Chief Justice of India, who is supposed to be the guardian of the Constitution, the topmost judge in the country, and that too in a courtroom that he presides over? We will ask those questions because it's become a political talking point, a political back and forth between the ruling party and the opposition parties. And to express his concerns, the Prime Minister also spoke to the Chief Justice on the phone yesterday. But a large number of supporters of right and right-centric politics in this country say that the man in question, Rakesh Kishore, he too has a vent to express his frustration, or he too should be given adequate leeway for his own expression of anger without, of course, any active incitement to violence. So is it a question of law versus faith? We'll explore that. But first, the reactions that have come in.
This type of incident never happened. Attack on Chief Justice means attack on judiciary. This is a clear, direct attack on judiciary. The people are now attacking the Chief Minister, Chief Justice of India, means the law and order of this country is in such a situation that anybody can do anything against anybody.
This type of behavior doesn't fall in line with the social tradition, the constitutional grace, and the cultural tradition of India. So it hurts everybody.
So the attempted hurling of a shoe comes after the Chief Justice of India drew sharp criticism last month over the comments that he made regarding Lord Vishnu, refusing to entertain a public interest litigation seeking judicial intervention for the reconstruction of a 7-foot idol of Lord Vishnu, which was beheaded. This, of course, part of the Khajuraho temple complex. The Chief Justice said at that time, and I quote, "Go and ask the deity himself to do something." He later clarified that his comments were taken out of context and he respects all religions. But that seems to have been the trigger of yesterday's attack. And a day after he made national headlines, the advocate in question, Mr. Kishore, has said that he does not regret what he did. He also accused the Chief Justice of mocking Sanatan Dharma.
परमात्मा ने जो करवाया वो मैंने किया, मैं करता नहीं, महज साक्षी हूँ। मैं बहुत ज़्यादा आहत हुआ कि 16 सितंबर को चीफ जस्टिस के कोर्ट में एक PIL किसी व्यक्ति ने दाखिल की, तो गवई साहब ने उसका जो है पूरी तरह से पहले तो मजाक उड़ाया। मजाक इन द सेंस कि ये कहा कि भाई आप मूर्ति से प्रार्थना करो, जाके आइडल से कहो कि वो अपना सर खुद रिस्टोर कर ले। जबकि हम देखते हैं कि यही चीफ जस्टिस बहुत सारे धर्मों के खिलाफ, जो दूसरे समुदाय के लोग हैं, आप सब जानते हैं वो लोग कौन हैं, उनके खिलाफ जब कोई केस आता है तो कोर्ट ने कह दिया आपने माहौल ख़राब कर दिया। लेकिन जब हमारे सनातन धर्म से रिलेटेड कोई मामला आता है या कोई भी मुद्दा हो छोटा मोटा, तो उसके ऊपर वो ज़रूर ऐसा कोई ना कोई ऑर्डर पास करते चली आ रही है ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट, जिससे कि मैं बहुत दुखी हूँ कि ऐसा इन्हें नहीं करना चाहिए। तो इन चीज़ों से लेकर मैं बहुत आहत था। वैसे मैं हिंसा के बहुत ज़्यादा खिलाफ हूँ।
Well, the topmost court of the country in the past has cautioned judges over making controversial comments. In fact, just in September of 2024, a Supreme Court bench passed a seminal order where it said that casual observations by judges may well reflect a certain degree of individual bias, particularly when they are likely to be perceived as being directed against a particular gender or a particular community. Courts, therefore, have to be careful not to make comments in the course of judicial proceedings which may then be construed as being misogynistic or prejudicial to any segment of our society. Interestingly, Justice B.R. Gavai was part of a 5-judge bench which delivered this order. This was in middle of 2024. If you go back earlier to April of 2021, the Supreme Court had back then made note of the off-the-cuff remarks in a petition that was filed by the Election Commission against some observations made by a judge of the Madras High Court. The court at that time had highlighted that we must emphasize the need for judges to exercise caution in off-the-cuff remarks in open court, which may be susceptible to misinterpretation. These are words of the court, these are orders of the court, these have been passed by the Supreme Court. Did the Chief Justice live up to that cred? And more importantly, even if he said what he said, comments that he apologized for later, is that a license for an attempted attack on anyone, leave alone the Chief Justice of India? I want to go across for a quick political face-off because all political parties have reacted to this. The Prime Minister himself has spoken to Justice Gavai, the opposition, all of them, Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, everybody has attacked this and said that this is a symptom of the malaise that has been plaguing India over the last 10 years. I want to go across to Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. Ashpreet Karyal is spokesperson of the Congress. Sanju Verma, so the latter part of the question that I raised, maybe yes, the CJI said offensive stuff which he should not have said, stuff which he later clarified and apologized for, but is that a license for someone to attempt to throw his shoe at the Chief Justice in public glare in a courtroom where the CJI presides?
Absolutely not, Zakka. I'm not going to be, qualifying my statement with ifs and buts. I think Prime Minister Narendra Modi, not only did he speak with CJI Gavai, but he also posted on X clearly saying that this act by Rakesh Kishore, another lawyer, in full glare of the public in the courtroom was reprehensible, utterly condemnable, and violence has no place in civilized society. And I think I've done a zillion shows with you earlier, wherein, even at the height of this cow vigilantism, hum Sanatani Hindu गाय को गौ माता की तरह पूजते हैं. But even then when I was asked, do you support vigilantism? I said no. That has no place in civilized society. Having said that, I would also like to simply say that for the Congress to try and insinuate that Rakesh Kishore, the lawyer who attempted hurling a shoe at the CJI, did so at the behest of support that he indirectly got from the BJP ecosystem. I think that is a whole lot of balderdash. If there is one party, Zakka, which has repeatedly undermined the bona fides of the apex court, it is the Congress party. And without being verbose, let me remind your audience, barely a few weeks back, not even months, a few weeks back, the Supreme Court told Rahul Gandhi, do you think you are a national? If you go abroad and say that China has usurped 2,000 square kilometers of Indian territory, does that not make you an anti-national when you don't have corroborative proof and you make recklessly brazen statements? And Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Rahul Gandhi's pyari behna, said, who is the Supreme Court to decide and give certificates of nationalism or otherwise to my brother Rahul Gandhi? So the Congress is the last party that should be sending out platitudes on ethics and good behavior to the BJP ecosystem.
So let me ask Ashpreet Karyal. Ashpreet Karyal, this was an attempt by a man, howsoever, deranged his attempt might be, or his justification might be, or his excuses might be. And the CJI took note of it and he said, look, I don't pay attention to these things. I've let the man go. And he said he does not want to press charges. The Congress and the entire opposition is now trying to paint this as though this is, true of every Dalit in this country. They're all under attack and that the Modi government has enabled this ecosystem to thrive, this atmosphere to thrive. There is simply no evidence to suggest that.
Thank you, Zakka, for the question. First up, Zakka, after the incident took place, there was prolonged silence on part of the Bharatiya Janata Party's government, on part of their topmost leaders. After that, when pressure was mounted on them to condemn it, did they? After a massive delay, number one. Number two, we question that why was there this massive delay? It should have been done a lot before. Number two, if the Bharatiya Janata Party's government have called it to be wrong, they have condemned it, then why has no action been taken at all whatsoever? This crime is also against the state. What action has been taken is what we want to know from the Bharatiya Janata Party's government. And if no action gets taken, what precedent is set? That also needs to be talked about, because back in the day, when there were incidents of hate speech, there were incidents of vigilantism, there were incidents of institutions being undermined. If then the Bharatiya Janata Party's government would have stepped in, if they wouldn't have allowed it to happen, or if it were happening, they would have condemned it, punished it, then there would have been an example set up, there would have been a precedent set up that nobody can do this. But the Bharatiya Janata Party's government,
Ashpreet, to your specific question, why Mr. Kishore has not been arrested is because the CJI in court yesterday itself, right after this commotion happened, he told the Registrar General of the court, and you're a lawyer, you know this, I don't want to press charges. That's why no FIR has been filed and this man is not under arrest.
I just answered the question that this is a crime against the state. We need to understand how the law works, how an offense works. And number two, it is, basically the benevolence and the big-heartedness of our honorable CJI that he has taken this step. But what of the Bharatiya Janata Party's government? What of their responsibility? What of their duty to ensure that something of this sort does not happen again?
Okay.
There are going to be, because there are people
Sanju Verma, the contention is that you have an SC/ST Protection Act where even if anyone, any SC/ST individual considers that there is a slur against him or her, they have the right under that law to go ahead and file an FIR. Today we are talking about the Chief Justice of India. If he is not safe in his own courtroom, then what about the plight of other Dalits and STs in this country?
Exactly.
You know, Zakka, let me make one thing very clear. There is a cabal led by the likes of Prashant Bhushan, who even went so far as posting on X that, a Brahminical mindset is responsible for the attack on the CJI. And he said the lawyer who attacked the CJI was a Brahmin, and this is trying to undermine Dalits as a class. I believe that violence against anyone, be it a Dalit, be it an Adivasi, be it an OBC, be it a Brahmin, be it anyone, needs to be condemned unequivocally without bringing the caste equation into it. But since the caste equation has been brought in by the opposition and a lame duck Congress party, I want to ask a couple of questions very quickly. Draupadi Murmu is the first tribal woman president of India, and Draupadi Murmu is the evil face of RSS and BJP, was said by the national spokesperson of the Congress party. No action taken by the Darbari ecosystem against this spokesperson. Ramnath Kovind was the second Dalit president of India after K.R. Narayanan. Sonia Gandhi took 27 months to even pay a courtesy visit to former President Ramnath Kovind. So much for respecting Dalits and Adivasis. And let me tell you one more thing, Zakka. A few weeks back, the Supreme Court castigated Rahul Gandhi, saying, do not keep calling Savarkar a coward. Even Indira Gandhi and Mahatma Gandhi respected Savarkar's contributions to the freedom movement. And Rahul Gandhi said, ये तो Supreme Court का view है, मैं इस बात को
No, but tell me, Sanju Verma, we are showing graphics of all opposition leaders from Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, MK Stalin, Mamata Banerjee, Pinarayi Vijayan. They're all saying that this has been enabled because of the environment prevalent in the country over the last 10 years, that certain people think that they can get away with such things. They are enabled to do this. That is the contention. I mean, that's the common thread of all opposition leaders. We're running those graphics even as you speak.
Yes, thank you, Zakka, for running those graphics, because it puts perspective to this entire false narrative. I call it narrative jihad. You keep repeating a narrative, assuming that at least there will be some people in the audience who will buy it. But fortunately for us, Indian audiences are so smart, they can see through the charade of Rahul Gandhi and the entire DMK, TMC cabal. Let me say one thing. Ahead of Haryana Assembly elections, what did the Congress and its Darbari ecosystem say? Jats versus non-Jats was the narrative. Oh, Jats don't any longer support BJP. Come Maharashtra elections, the narrative shifted to Marathas versus non-Marathas. Oh, Marathas don't support the BJP, and Devendra Fadnavis is a Brahmin. No way he's going to become CM next time. When the Delhi elections, were on the anvil, the same Darbari ecosystem said, you know what, despite everything, Jhoparpatti wale slum dwellers will support Arvind Kejriwal. That time it became Jhoparpatti walas versus the so-called elites. So the Congress Darbari ecosystem has always tried to pit one part of the society when it concerns Hindus against others. Why don't they talk about various denominations in the Christian community? Why don't they talk about various denominations within the Islamic community? You have the Siddiquis, Ansaris, Qureshis, Azrafs, Ajlafs. Talk about them. Why do you want to divide Hindus on the basis of caste and creed?
No, I want to ask Ashpreet
point.
Kadyal, this whole narrative that's being spread that there is this environment that's been enabled and that's why an attack such as what happened yesterday has happened. But there is no evidence to suggest that. If you look at the NCRB data, Ashpreet, the total number of cases that were registered for crimes against SCs, it was almost exactly the same as in 2022 and almost exactly the same as the year before. There is virtually no increase. So to say that, crimes against Dalits have gone up substantially in the Modi government in the last 10 years, there's no data to back that.
See, number one, the fact of the matter is that many Dalits have been subjected to discrimination. They have been roughed up. They have been beaten up. And yet the Bharatiya Janata Party's government has done nothing, and they shouldn't lecture us on that. Because our Honorable President, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge Sahab, time and time again, the Bharatiya Janata Party's leaders have made unparliamentary remarks against him, and they have gone scot-free again. So our point of contention is that instead of diverting attention and talking about everything under the sun but the topic, why does the Bharatiya Janata Party not tell us what measures will they take to ensure that something of this sort does not happen again? Will you even take, any steps further in order to ensure that nobody has the audacity to do something of the sort, let alone with a CJI, not also with a normal person, because commoners on a daily basis are being subjected to many things, hate speeches, vigilantism. People are being stopped from doing whatever they want by Bharatiya Janata Party's leaders, by Bharatiya Janata Party's workers in Uttarakhand. There was a person who went in and started lecturing women as to what kind of clothes should they be wearing. He started lecturing them if they can participate in modeling competitions.
So what has that got to do with the attack on the CJI? That's immaterial to the subject of the debate. All right, I have to wrap up. Last 30 seconds, Sanju Verma, I have to wrap up quickly after this. Yes.
Zakka, my last 30 seconds. Who undermined the Supreme Court? Rahul Gandhi's father, Rajiv Gandhi, by throwing the Shah Bano judgment out of the window.
Nothing
on
ordinance.
In full public glare in 2013, Rajiv Gandhi's son Rahul Gandhi, the ordinance was basically to disallow convicted criminals from entering politics.
Okay. I've got to wrap up. Thank you very much, Sanju Verma and Ashpreet Kadyal, for joining us. Like I said, it isn't a place in democracy that the highest custodian of the law, of the Constitution, that is the Chief Justice of India, should be attacked or attempted to be attacked in his own courtroom. There is simply no justification for that.